still nevertheless escape from developing psychosis unless you have an additional risk factor. And the abuse of drugs like amphetamine, cocaine, and cannabis can be sufficient in those who have other risk factors to tip them into psychosis.
And that leaves you, as a practitioner, as it were, simply saying, don't change the classification.
No, I'm not saying that at all. I don't think that changing the classification will have much effect. We already smoke more cannabis than they do in Holland, where they have more liberal laws. So I think the critical thing is to educate people so that they know that cannabis is a drug. When we talk to our patients who are psychotic and say, have you taken any drugs? They say, no, I never take any drugs. But when we say, what about cannabis? They say, of course I take cannabis, but that's not a drug. That's a herb, and everybody knows that it's a natural substance. It couldn't possibly have any adverse effects.
Right. It sounds as if you two may be singing from the same hymn sheet, although your conclusions were slightly different.
Well, I think what we felt was that it was inappropriate in 2003 or 2002 is when we wrote the report, to still call it a Class B drug. We categorised drugs according to the degree of harm, and we felt it was inappropriate for it still to be alongside amphetamines, which I'm sure Robin will agree is a really potent psychomimetic type agent that will cause psychosis in any of us if we take enough of it.
Would you agree?
Yes, I think both cannabis and amphetamine increase a chemical in the brain called dopamine. And we know that all drugs that increase dopamine are more likely to make you go psychotic. It's just that amphetamine has a stronger and quicker effect. But if you plow on taking enough cannabis over long enough, then this can push you into psychosis. It's a bit like alcohol.
Right.
The majority of us get nothing but benefit from alcohol. You take too much for too long, you can become alcoholic. Similarly with cannabis.
Right. Professor Rawlings, in her report, Victoria MacDonald gave us the chicken and egg issue, which is it that psychosis can be triggered by cannabis, or is it simply that psychotics turn to cannabis in order to alleviate their symptoms?
Well, it is part of the chicken and egg problem, and I think it's one of the difficulties that Robin's research is very difficult to show which is the chicken and the egg. But I think we all accept that it can precipitate psychoses, that it does so less often than things like amphetamine, that it's inappropriate to still have it as a Class B, and it's more appropriate classified as a Class C. But it is still harmful.
Well, are you satisfied that the environment in which it's being reclassified is educationally strong enough, that in fact a campaign is actually being launched to deal with
this?
Yes,
I think that is helpful, and we tried to write our report in a way that would be accessible to ordinary people and wasn't too much in jargon of science and medicine and pharmacology.
Professor Rawlings, Professor Murray in South London, thank you both very much indeed. We'd like to know how you feel about this. Has the government gone too far? Email us via our website, channel4.com/news.